Welcome back to Cosmic Confessions. I'm your host, CrashLit, and today I'm super excited to be joined by Mojis right-handed pitcher, Ryan Cormier. Ryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Doing awesome. Can't wait to get
Yeah,
going.
great. Absolutely. Great to have you on. And I really want to start this conversation by just, understanding that this past weekend was really a bit of a homecoming for you, given that you're from Western Massachusetts and Cosmic Baseball was in Worcester. So, what was that overall experience like?
Yeah, so ever since pretty much signing, I knew that they were going to be back in Worcester, and this was going to be a huge stop for me personally. All the family here. My dad is born and raised not too far from Worcester, not too far from here, where I'm at currently. So I got all of my dad's side, all in Massachusetts, and lots of friends. Growing up or not growing up really. I moved here during high school, so almost a decade. High school, college, being out here. Went to college in Providence, Rhode Island. So people close by. In Worcester, a lot of people wanted to go, and they were here this past weekend for Cosmic Baseball. So yeah, it was a huge stop, and I was looking forward to it. And yeah, we can go over some of it. There's a lot of highs and lows to it. Honestly, it was a lot like stressful, but also super. There's just big moments that like I'll cherish forever. Happy moments and stuff. It was a lot, so we can get into it a little bit.
We definitely will. And before we do that, be sure to subscribe to Cosmic Confessions. We are on Apple, Spotify, all the audio sites. We should be there. If we are not on your preferred audio site, please let me know. You can also watch the video version of this podcast on my YouTube channel. So subscribe to me there at CrashLit and leave a like and comment. And finally, be sure to follow Ryan on Instagram at Ryan.Cormier34. Show him some love on the gram. See all the cool content that he's putting out and everything that went down this weekend. And Ryan, I think I know where I want to start this conversation. I think you know where I'm going. Saturday, the unceremonial first pitch.
Yeah,
You took an at bat and faced your dad.
yeah,
Talk about what that was like.
yeah. That was such a crazy experience because it was something I knew there was going to be a big moment, some sort of big moment. In Worcester, I just didn't know what it was going to be. But that was kind of last minute. I was like, is it possible I can get at bat against my dad? And it was only a couple days beforehand. And yeah, it was kind of just thought out there, like, yeah, we can make it work and this and that. And I was like, hey, you want to throw out the first pitch? To my own dad, I'm like, hey, you want to throw out the first pitch? And like, he's like, yeah, let's do it. But yeah, the moment itself was way cooler than I would have ever imagined. And I think it went the best that it possibly could, even though, you know, so I'll say kind of leading up to it a little bit more. I, was getting ready for it, recording, I'm gonna have content on that. I'll post that later, but like I got video of the whole thing. But yeah, so my dad threw out the first pitch. He played, all the way to Double A. Went to Northeastern, which is in Boston, and got signed out of there. So yeah, he has high level baseball experience, and he passed it down to me and my two younger brothers. And yeah, it was such a full circle moment. You know what I mean? Because taking hacks like in the backyard or at the field close by to our house, or for travel ball games or this or that. Like when I still hit, because I've been a pitcher only since high school, pretty much. So like ever up to high school, um, you know, it felt like just playing wiffle ball or playing, just hitting off my dad, to get swings in. So that's what it felt like, kind of a full circle. Like now we're on a, triple A size field in front of a sold out crowd, more than 10,000 people. And we're taking a real, like, I'm taking a real at bat against him, and he's trying to like actually face me. I didn't tell him to, don't throw me any cookie, like, throw like what you have left, like leave all your bullets out there. He can barely lift his arm past his shoulder, but he still got a couple left, and yeah, he showed it out there. It was pretty impressive. He still had it. But yeah, and I had to make it a big moment too. So like, wearing the Mohawk helmet and just looking all crazy and like getting the crowd all hyped up and stuff. It turned out really, really good. And beforehand, I took some swings in the cage. I wanted to do like a bit of, I only take like one swing and I'm done and kind of just hit the ball fair. I couldn't even hit the ball fair. I kept fouling every ball off. So it kind of led into the actual at bat where I fouled like, well, he threw a change up to me the first pitch. I had to swing at it. But then on, crowd, I'm getting everyone be like, one more. I rope a ball down the line, almost fair. Like that would have been a double. And then he throws me one outside and I foul it the other way. And then he gives me a good heater and I foul it straight back. So it was a full at bat. It was a full, first batter of the game, not just one pitch and done. So yeah. And then he got me with the high cheese and swung and miss. And, a couple guys are like, was that scripted? Like, I'm like, dude, I haven't hit in so long. Like, I'm not a hitter, dude. Like, I swung and missed.
Was that your first at bat, like this cosmic season?
Yeah.
To clarify,
I swung a bat like this whole, yeah. I'm not, dude, I haven't swung in batting practice or anything. Like, I just picked up a bat and started swinging. But, dude, it turned out so good because, he did, he did my K celebration like on a strikeout. He pulled that out, and other guys were doing it on the side, and the crowd was like all cheering and stuff. It was so cool, and the photos that came out of that turned out so awesome. I can't wait to post those too. It was just such a cool, like, that moment in itself. It defined like the entire weekend of the support that I had there. And just it was more special than all the other stops so far, for a reason, because, the people that I wanted to be there and, kind of, just have a moment of something cool, where I've been living here, for the past decade, pretty much. It's such a cool moment. And, those fans are so awesome. I know how awesome Red Sox fans are because I'm a Red Sox fan myself. And the people in Worcester too, those Woo Sox fans, they're super passionate too, and they deserve something like that. And it was just such a cool experience. So that's pretty much it. It was so awesome.
I also do just need to add this detail in for people who didn't see that I think made it even better. After your dad struck you out and is celebrating, the Peppers start moshing him too. I kind of think made it even better that it's like,
yeah,
because essentially he was competing, he was playing on behalf of them.
Oh yeah, no, that was full on strikeout first out of the game. Like, helped the Peppers get rolling, and you know what? It helped for the rest of the game too. Because well, that's actually not true. We won that game by a lot, but still, I mean, it was a moment, and like Peppers were all into it too. Even my team were all into it. I can hear them screaming like in my ear, like. On the side, I can hear them like just saying stuff. It was such a cool moment. But yeah, it was it defined the whole weekend, and it was just such a joyous moment that I'm never gonna forget, with my dad for sure.
Absolutely. And then plus you had your I think it was your mom down there and your girlfriend down there also filming.
Yeah,
I was right there.
I didn't even know my mom was
down
down there. I saw my girlfriend down there. I knew she was recording, but my mom was down there too. I know. Exactly. I'm glad you did. You did a good job with that because they could have just wandered off, like they could have been like in the line of fire. Like if I fouled the ball off, they could have been, But
it was just like even she was like really zoned into it too, like filming and making sure she got a good angle of it, which I was trying to help her with while also keeping her safe. But it was cool to even like they got to be like on the field for that moment too. I think also just adds to how great that moment was.
Yeah. It was pretty special. So
then just speaking of family too, I mean, in Norfolk, your mom also has been, on the field before, not her first rodeo doing Mom Olympics.
Yeah.
What was that like seeing her do that? The Mom Olympics, for those who don't know, essentially two moms compete against each other, have to do a series of tasks, and then sit down a chair and scream a line.
Yeah.
And basically, it's pure chaos.
Yeah, with my mom, I think that was the most chaotic one as far as like you don't know, like you don't know what's going to happen. Like my mom is very unpredictable. She's very outgoing and very like, just joyous and like always moving around or whatever. So like, just don't know what you're going to get. You know what I mean? You don't know. She'll do something like funny or whatever. And like, yeah, she'll express everything on her sleeve. She'll express, I guess. So, yeah, when I told her, I'm like, you're going to do it. You're going to find a way to do it. Yeah, and she's like, I don't know if I can do it. Like, I don't want to run fast or whatever. I'm like, just do it. Like, you'll be fine. But yeah, no, it was when I was warming up because I was starting that game too, and I was just warming up. I'm warming up with Evan, in left field, and I turn around, I know it's like coming up soon, and I see her there, and like she says her name and all that, and Unk's there, hyping up the crowd. And then they start going. I don't really remember what happens. Like she didn't know what she was doing at all. She like clearly didn't listen to anything. So it made like my mom is so sporadic brain of like, of course, like she doesn't know like which one's like, So she does all of it and then sits down and then instead of saying put my kid at shortstop, which is like what you're supposed to say, I'm pitching and she's gotta say like her son, and she's like, put my kid on the mound, and she screams it super loud and super, super embarrassing. Like I'm just sitting there, I'm like looking around, I'm like, look, anyone hear that? Like everyone's just like looking and they know it's me. Yeah, that was a good way to start that, pregame routine going into the game. So that was fun though. It was a good day. That was such a good day too, because that was my birthday weekend and that was on my birthday. And, she's a good luck charm, but also I think a bad luck charm because both times she's seen me pitch, I've given up 2 home runs, and that's the only 2 home runs I've given up. So maybe I'm not saying anything, but it's just ironic that happened. But other than that, though, it was a great outing, and it was fun. It was very fun both of those days.
I do want to ask you, just while we're on the subject of family, just what has your family meant to you just since you've been on this cosmic journey?
They've been helping me, stay grounded and like stay focused on the things that matter. And faith's a huge part of my family, and yeah, we're very close as a family. So being close, relationship wise, with all my family members and relatives and stuff, that's all huge to me. And having them out to the games, especially here in Worcester, having a lot of them out was such a special moment because it made me realize like what actually matters, because for example, when I pitched on Friday, that was one of the coolest, best days because I got the start, but it was also like the worst performance I've ever pitched in my whole baseball career. And no one even like really cared or like, not the fans don't really care too much or whatever. But for me, it's like, like Pepper scored, a few runs and, the 1 inning pitch. But for me, it's like, I just like embarrassed myself in front of like all the people that I would like hype, I hyped all this up and, they got to see me. I like kind of just, I pitched terrible. And then, I was just down the whole rest of the day. Like I had to go like by myself and like, just sit alone and like, think like, what am I going to do now? Are they like disappointed or whatever? And, I had to realize like all the moments, that I've done right. This one day doesn't define who I am, like performance wise. And then I got to go back out there and see all the family still cheering me on and still like supporting me, the rest of the game and after. That opened my eyes. That made me realize how important family is and like how important the people surrounding you are in a season like this, because it's long, you don't see family and you're on your own and you're around the same guys all the time. So you kind of get caught up in all the things and all the glamour and all the the stuff that you want to chase after for yourself. But you got to remember, it's more than just yourself. It's for the fans, it's for your family, it's for for God. he wants to see you succeed, and he put you on, he put me on this earth for a reason. I believe he put me on this earth for this, and this moving forward, because, I've felt so comfortable here. And, the family aspect of it, they've helped me grow up into the person that I want to be. And they helped me through that and taught me a lot of lessons and taught me a lot of things to, be prepared now. So the family aspect of it is huge. It's God first, and then families right under that. So they're huge. Yeah.
I really loved your answer there, because it's, I think, something just a lot of guys in the organization, especially those who are really might be moving away from home for the first time, just are all going through. So I really just love hearing you guys' answers about just what family means to you and just how you gain, I guess, a new perspective or appreciation for it when you really go on a journey like the one we're all on right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. I mean, for me, this is like my third pro season pretty much. Like, I've played 2 years of pro ball before this and indie ball. So I was, by myself, and the seasons weren't that long. That's the difference. Is I've already been away way longer. The seasons are only a couple months that I've been on the past couple seasons. And now it's like 8 months, and it's a full blown, most of the year. I have a contract for the most of the year, and I'm playing every single weekend. So like, I don't have the opportunities, I'm not going to be spending buttloads of money just to travel back all the time. Like, it's a sacrifice. And, the family aspect of it, of support, comes with, calling all the time and texting all the time and just staying in contact and just, catching up and checking up on family. That's all you can do. And, yeah, that's what you have to do. Like, some guys are used to it. Some guys aren't, and we're all getting through it together. That's why it's important, for Cosmic in itself, the whole organization, as we stick together like a family, so we kind of, feel that, with other people that we're always around. So that's the good thing about Cosmic is, no matter what, like, family's always going to have tension, right? But at the end of the day, like, this is a family, like a true family. Like, every guy on the team I can relate to, they can relate to me. We can talk about a lot of things, and a lot of struggles that we have, and kind of overcome them with each other, not just going to family. So yeah, hats off to all the people, guys like you, Crash, and guys in operations, and guys behind the scenes, and the people like Chris, who is running the whole thing, and the players. Like, everyone's a family at the end of the day, and it's pretty awesome. So
Absolutely. And now I do want to ask you, just beside kind of moving in towards talking about kind of your baseball experience with Cosmic, besides Worcester and Norfolk, are there any other tour stops that have really stood out to you and have been memorable?
we're at this point in the season where, like, some of the stops are blending into each other. Because the first, like, couple months I was like, yeah, each stop is super unique, this and that. But yeah, it's been past few stops have been kind of a blur, honestly. But I've remembered each stop. Every stop has had a unique kind of story and kind of thing about it, and lots of cool memories of it. But for me, this was a really cool, and this is one of my favorite moments of the whole year. And it comes only in the second week on tour. It was in Birmingham, Alabama. So, kind of a backstory. Before we got there, I heard rumblings that someone was going to be thrown out the first pitch, and it was, something that I follow and I've been following. And I've actually met the person, a couple times, but it was a legendary motorsports driver. The Andersons, they drive monster trucks, and they are huge names in the motorsports industry as a whole. They are like the goats of driving off-road vehicles. It's all monster trucks. They drive big giant monster trucks, and one of the sons was there at the game with his son, And I reached out to him because I heard that he was going to be there. And I didn't really expect anything from it. I've met him at some shows before. I met him in California when I was living there. And I didn't meet him out here in Massachusetts, but I've seen him here. I saw him at Gillette when we moved here, like the first couple of years that we were here. Yeah, he's insane, has world championships, and he's one of the goats. Yeah, his son was there, and I just reached out. I'm like, hey, you want to meet after the game or whatever? I didn't know what to expect, but I've always been the one to fanboy about the cool drivers that I liked growing up, because I was like, as a kid, like I love monster trucks and all that. And I still do, it's so sick still. And him and his son actually were fanboying over me on the field. Like, they were on the field before the game, and they kind of surprised me. I didn't know they were even there yet, and they were looking for me. I didn't even know that. So him and his son were waving me down, and I'm coming after, throwing on the left field foul line, and I'm just like, no way, they're here. I'm like, hey, what's up? And I got to meet his son. We took photos and all that stuff, and he was starstruck of me. It was a full circle moment, because as a kid, growing up, those were kind of the idols that I looked at. It was so cool, full circle. Top driver, he's got half a million followers on social media. He's huge on social media too, and a lot of people know his name. And he was there. That's the thing I gotta remember. He was there because they had a show at that football stadium, very close to where we were playing in Birmingham. So they were there that weekend, and yeah, he brought his son along for his tour, and we're on our tour. And yeah, he got to see us play on whatever night it was, maybe Friday night. And yeah, I got to take photos and all that, and just chop it up with him. And it was so cool. I got his phone number, and we talked after the game too. I even made a TikTok with him. I was like, dude, you want to be in a TikTok? Just do a fun video. And he got to do that, and he stayed all the way after the game, just to be hanging out with me and stuff. It was so cool. That was one of my favorite moments, for sure.
I do want to now ask you about just what's it like pitching in Cosmic? How does that also compare to pitching during the day, since I know you've done both?
Yeah, I've done both a good amount. I've kind of done everything but 3 minutes of chaos. I want to do that at some point, but it is a lot different. It's similar but different, obviously. I don't know if there's one that's harder, because for me, coming here, I never faced anyone in front of 10,000 plus people. So I had to get used to just playing in front of that environment first. It wasn't even throwing in the dark or throwing regular. It was just throwing in front of a lot of people. And the first week in Jacksonville was not good at all. I was also that, and this past week of Worcester were two of my worst outings, of course. Two big ones. But after that, in Birmingham I got used to it. Pitching Cosmic is pretty easy once you practice pitching in the dark. So having that time before the season helped a lot, even for pitchers. So just getting used to the ball, getting used to kind of the depth perception, because that's kind of the main thing, is just the depth perception of Cosmic in itself. Because fans, when they see it, they're like, oh my gosh, it looks so close, the ball looks so close, it's radiating so much. So it's a depth perception thing. But yeah, pitching the Cosmic I like a lot, because it's just all you just get the pretty much you have the advantage, kind of the hitters, they have an advantage, because the ball's super radiating, and they can see it a little better. But at the same time, it's they can't. I don't know how to explain it, but I think pitching Cosmic's so fun, and you get to kind of show off a little bit more, I think, because the fans want to see us moving around more in the dark. So getting to move around, doing some celebrations in the dark is fun. But then pitching in regular, that feels that feels more like, regular baseball, which we're all used to, before coming here, especially me, like this is my first year doing this. So, just like back to pitching, competing, you know, again, like the normal way. I like both though a lot. It's so fun. And the balls, honestly, like it depends. The ball, it's like I feel like I need to like, do something to like, I don't know. It's like it's always inconsistent because I've had really good outings where I feel bad. I've had really bad outings where I feel good. I've had really bad outings where I felt terrible, and I've had really good outings where I felt really good. So, and I feel like every situation has happened to me too. So, I don't know. I like both a lot, and doing a mix of both is the way to go for sure. For me, I like getting my cup of tea of like one inning of regular and then one inning of cosmic a weekend or something like that. I like doing that. Whether it's like closing in cosmic or like throwing in the fourth or throwing in the second or whatever starting, doesn't matter. I'm gonna do my job no matter what, and it's gonna be fun, and hopefully it's gonna be a quick outing because before Worcester, I had a good like month and a half of like really quick outings and doing good. So I'm hoping that continues for the rest of the season. So
I do not want to ask you, Ryan, what's just your overall favorite part of Cosmic?
If I had to choose one, it's hard to choose one. I I like hmm, obviously I like the home run derbies, just watching them. They're so fun to watch. That's one of my favorite parts, obviously, of Cosmic. That's everyone's favorite part, pretty much, of Cosmic is watching home run derbies. Um, Playing pickleball in left field with Breland is super fun. I've been doing that a lot recently. That's one of my favorite parts when it comes to Cosmic because it's like a whole half inning, 3 outs that we get to just play pickleball and have fun and, hopefully not die and get hit by a ball. But yeah, I mean, he's a good outfielder. He's got a lot of awareness, so he's gonna let us know if anything. But um, that, and then honestly, doing all the stuff between innings is super fun. Because you would think the game, like watching us play, is super fun, but the stuff they do in between when there's supposed to be nothing going on, we're getting the crowd absolutely hyped with the music and having them jump around and stuff like that is so fun to do, and that's the stuff I want to be. I've been a part of it, but hopefully, we'll see. I'm hoping to be part of it more. That can be something I reveal more on my own, but yeah, that's super fun in itself. Just interacting with the crowd in Cosmic, whether it's like holding up balls and like having them go crazy, or jumping around with them with the phones, or whatever else. It's super fun. Cosmic as a whole is just, it's my favorite part as a whole. But honestly, you know what? Doing the intro into Cosmic depends what intro we do. We've had some really good ones. We've had some like pretty decent ones, and then we've had a couple of them that like really stand out and are like, really breathtaking. Like everyone's in awe. Those have been, those are really cool. I think my favorite, I think a lot of people agree, was the one we did in Omaha. That kind of Omaha like march into the stadium. That was such a cool moment, and the content and videos, photos that came out of that was super cool. But every single Cosmic intro where the lights turn off and all the players run out on the field, like all of them have been super special. And that's what the fans remember the most, and they record. And yeah, it's just a great time. So
Transitions is where the crowd just really goes from just into the game to just fully unhinged too. Let's just add that, like when all the music starts, the confetti flows, the jerseys react to the black lights.
yeah.
Just that crowd doesn't just go crazy; they get unhinged. I
Yeah.
think is the best way to describe it, and I mean that in
That
a good way.
that was literally that's what my aunt was saying um this past weekend. Like she was surprised. Like a couple family members are so surprised like how crazy the fans were going for us and for Cosmic, like, during the game, stuff like that with the intro. And then even like players going up in the stands and, signing autographs, stuff, like people go absolutely crazy. Like, it's hard. It's like, everyone probably needs their own escort at some point, because this is going to keep growing, more and more and get more popular. Past baseball fans going to get popular with, all these other people and other new markets. But yeah, it's crazy. So many fans want our autographs. So many fans want to see certain things, and they go absolutely nuts for it. And it is such a cool experience, just to be a part of. It's so awesome.
Absolutely. Here are my final couple questions for you, Ryan. And these are questions I ask everybody I interview, regardless of what it's for. This one is, what's the best advice you've ever received?
For me, I think the best, I gotta think about this. I think honestly, it's gonna sound so simple and so like cliche, but just never give up. Because my whole life is about not giving up. Because I've had challenges growing up that I had to overcome, more than other kids, and certain things where, just things that held me back, whether it was like on the field or like in school or whatever. Like, it was all about like just like, moments where I wanted to give up, just not fully giving up. And for baseball, that's how it's always been. It was just, I was never the fastest, strongest. I was big, but like I was never like the most athletic, or like, there's always someone better or whatever. I was always like middle of the pack, or like, not the best that I could be or whatever. Like, I had to figure it out, over time. And that just, I could have given up so many times, in so many situations, not just baseball. They're like moving coast to coast, in high school, and starting a whole new life over again in the middle of high school. And then, having that like carry into college, and then COVID, and, whatever. Like, there's so many moments where like I could have given up and like could have chosen different routes, or, chosen to give up on myself and give up on dreams. But I've always had this dream of doing something, more than just baseball. And now I'm finally doing it. And that's the advice I would give to anyone, is like, if you have a goal, like you have a vision or visions of things you want to do, like, just don't give up. Even when you want to give up and you feel like you are giving up, don't fully give up. That's all I'll say.
Finally, Ryan, this is where I'm going to give you the floor. What do you have to say to all the fans out there? We got 11 stops left. Why should they come to a Cosmic game?
I'm gonna say these last 11 stops will be a good precursor to next year's Cosmic Tour. I think as a whole, have been really kind of refining what this whole experience is, with all these stops. This has like been a huge, obviously this is the biggest tour that they've ever done. And in its second year, like, it's already grown so much. And these last 11 stops are going to be, I think everyone's figured it out pretty much. As far as like players figuring it out for themselves, there's a couple guys like me. That's my girlfriend. A couple guys like me, fully ready to give it all, for these 11 stops. And I think everyone's on board. Everyone's ready to go all out for these 11 stops and put on the best baseball game and best Cosmic experience possible. And everyone else around it and the organization is ready to go too. And it's gonna be a long 11 stops, and it's going to be a grind, but the fans are in for a treat. If they haven't seen it, the fans are in a treat. If they have seen it, because each time we go to a new city, it's the same, but it's also a fully different experience each time. And you only have to see it. You have to see it to believe it. So that's why I gotta say, just get ready for the 11 stops, and it's gonna lead into next year. And this thing's gonna really take over all of entertainment sports and gonna be something so massive.
Ryan Cormier, thank you again for joining me here today on Cosmic Confessions.
Yeah, thank you, Crash. It was a pleasure, dude.
It's always a pleasure when I get to chat with you, especially in a setting where I really get to learn so much about you. This is what was really cool for me.
I love
And
doing
I hope,
this.
of course,
Yeah.
I'm sure the fans who are tuning into this are going to learn a lot about you as well.
Awesome. Yeah. And go follow my socials. Go follow Crash. Go follow my socials. Ryan Cormier 34. Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, even on YouTube. Go follow it all.
That's going to do it for us here on Cosmic Confessions. Big thanks again to Glow Mojis right-handed pitcher Ryan Cormier. Show him some love on the gram and all his other sites at ryan.cormier34. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, whether it's audio or video. And I'll see you all next time in a brand new episode of Cosmic Confessions.